Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I am here with my 2009 Saab 97X. I'm going to do a little bit of work. So if you did not watch the last video, please pause this right now and go back to that video if you want to recap on what we're getting ready to do today and a little bit of history about this car. So go ahead and pause, come back, and I'll see you then. You still haven't paused yet. Pause that video, go back and watch the other one, please. Thank you. On today's episode, we're going to burst that bubble. So as mentioned before, we are back here with the Saab 97X and the problem at hand. As you knew from watching the last video, we have this disgusting piece of rust right on the very, very back edge of the roof. And I've got the tailgate opened up just a little bit here, so we have a little extra room instead of it just being a small gap, so we can go to work. So what do we need to work on this? Well, we're going to start with a little bit of duct tape, some trim tools, a pick, and drill driver with a T20 bit, so we can separate the roof rail. Now, before I started filming, I popped this guy off, just get an idea what I was dealing with, how it comes off and whatnot, and somebody has already been in there. So I'm just going to pop this thing back off again and show you what we have. That is some folded over duct tape to hold that thing in place, because the tab that's right here has broken off. Then we have a Christmas tree style fastener there. This tab here just slides under here. We will have to do that side together when we go to lay some tape down on this thing. And if you don't know what's going on about the tape, I told you to pause the video and go back and watch the last one, but we'll get to the tape later. So what we're going to do is start with removing this rust, but before we do that, we do need to protect certain areas from maybe accidental damage, such as this area here. We will get this lifted up shortly. Matter of fact, we will start with this. We're going to zip this off, and we take these 2-3 screws out and see if we can just support it up a little bit, just so we can have a little bit of clearance to work right here on that edge where there's a little bit of rust. Okay, so let's go ahead and get at it. I'm going to set up the camera for a little bit of filming from the other side, and we'll be right back. Okay, so like 2 seconds later, it turns out I only had to remove 2 of those bolts to suspend this roof rail, and I just took a plastic windshield tool, aka a bone, and just wedged it in there just to give us a little bit of clearance so that we can get right up underneath here. As you can see from the dirt line, that's where the molding lays, and that rust spot comes just up to that molding. So we want to make sure that we can get all of that out of there. And our next step is going to be doing some taping just to protect some paint. Okay, so here we go. Wish me luck. Laying a little bit of duct tape down here. Again, just so we protect our investment. We do not want to have a little hiccup where we bump something into the paint, and then we're in a whole new series of problems. Don't want that. Going double there. And there we go. Then we have our pick. And we're going to try to get at this. Now, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I'm just flaking away a bit of paint. And I'll show you after I'm done with this what all that looks like. This is not, oh, yeah, we have a hole all the way through right there. I'll show that to you in a minute. That's not good. No bueno. Okay, so we do have a hole And that's probably 1/4 of an inch in diameter. Let's pick you up here, let you take a look. See if you can see in there. I'll get my phone out, shine some light on the situation. Oh yeah, you can see the hole there. No good. And my door's closing and just closed on me. Drat! So surprisingly enough, the hydraulic shocks on the tailgate of this vehicle are excellent, but you just can't expect them to hold themselves up midway up. So I did do a little support job here with a hood prop rod just to keep it from falling down on me while I'm doing the work. We're gonna have to go into the toolbox and look for a method. Oh, that was a huge fail. Okay, just a few minutes later, our method of sanding has been figured out. So this is what we're going to use here today. We have a little pneumatic mini belt sander. I picked this up a while back on Amazon, figured be able to use it, cutting spot welds and things like that, but we're not going that aggressive for this. 120 grit belt on here, just to lightly clean up some of the paint, keep this under control, and we'll see how this goes. Wish me luck. That's loud. Alright, so yeah, that was loud and obnoxious, but it did the trick. I will say this, I am extremely happy that I decided to do the right thing and protect the adjacent panels on this vehicle. Yeah, so I see, I don't know if you can see in there where I bumped the duct tape, and I'm glad I used 2 layers. Don't think I went through, I hopefully didn't go through, but the progress looks pretty good. Got some good clean steel down here. Still going to hit it with a rust encapsulating paint because I got some areas I really can't reach. I'm just going to have to coat that. Yeah, pretty happy so far. We're going to get our surfaces prepped. A little bit of feathering here, and see if we can get some of that steel stick in that hole. And yeah, there's some primer on this bad boy. Let's see how far we can get this evening. Y'all hang tight. Look who decided to show up. Nobody. Some people have to work for it. Yeah, y'all support so I can quit. What's going there, dude? We are fixing yonder rust spot. We just knocked over my prop rod. Fail. It was extended. Okay, got a little bit of a solvent cleaner here, and we'll clean up this area. Get ready for a little bit of paint. Which I have ready to go. And yeah, very nasty. That's what you do expect when you're dealing with an area that's prone to being dirty. I need to get in there and get all this done before I put the sticker on. Awesome. So a little update, we're going to have to drop back and punt, I think. Just found out the rust inhibitor that I have dried out in the can. That's the same stuff we used in the video that we restored the suspension in the Camaro. So yeah, it's got a shelf life. I did do a good enough job to where I think I cleaned up all the rust, the surface rust, everything I could see. So I think we're just going to go move forward, jam that steel stick stuff into the hole, get that patch done, let it start drying. It takes an hour to cure, so we can sand it and paint over it. So our goal this evening is to at least get it sanded and primed. I don't know if I'm going to have time to lay down that vinyl tape. That may have to be tomorrow afternoon. We'll see what daylight lets us do. As you can tell, the sun is going down behind me, and we're losing time. So be right back with you. We'll walk through this whole steel stick process. All right, so we're back in the shop. We have the JB Weld steel stick. See right here, and this is what it looks like. It's gray and black. Instructions say to cut off what you need and then knead it with your fingers to activate it. I'm gonna start kneading until it's one consistent color. It says use your fingers. I would highly recommend using gloves. I don't know what this stuff's made out of, but I don't think I want it on my skin. So we'll just keep working this until it is a uniform color, which it looks like it's going to be a dark gray. Don't think we're going to need all of this, but I'd rather have enough than not enough. I'm going to do this twice. So getting close. We'll see you out in the car. Okay, here we go. Just taking a small amount and jamming it into the hole here. See how much of this hole we can get this stuff pushed into. Feels like Play-Doh, actually. Oh, it's already starting to get stiff. That stuff's working. The main thing is the hole seems to be covered. It doesn't smooth out as much as I thought it would, but that's okay. I think that yeah, it's gonna be all right. Let's take a look. Okay, so we got it laid in there. It's not super pretty, but I think that'll do the job. Yeah. All right. So it is now 10 after 6 p.m. and in another hour we can do a little feather sanding on this and hopefully get some primer on it. So we'll be back in an hour. All right, 30-minute update after applying the steel stick, and I will tell you this, I am impressed. Never used this stuff before, not your traditional bodywork material, but I went up here just a moment ago and touched that a little bit, grabbed that with my fingernail, and it will not even imprint with the fingernail after 30 minutes. That's pretty impressive. I will say this, I will give it the entire hour before I attempt to sand on it. Probably not cure all the way through quite yet, but pretty crazy stuff. We'll see what happens when we try to sand. Okay, so it's been about an hour. I believe this stuff is cured, this steel stick. So I'm going to get up here and I'm going to do a little sanding. We're going to start off with 180 grit. I'm not going to go too crazy. Typically, like with Bondo or filler, body filler, fiberglass filler, you're going to want to start with like a 36 or an 80 grit. I don't want to get that aggressive. I'm just going to take my time, get that smooth edge reformed. I'm not really worried about the stuff down below. I'm not going to see it. So I just want to get the portion you'll see that the vinyl tape will go over the top and it won't see a lump. So we're going to get back up on the roof, do a little sanding, see if we get this feathered out, looking 95%. I don't know. We'll get it looking good enough. Okay, so this stuff sands amazing. I was not looking forward to doing this because I thought it was going to be a little gummy, gum with sandpaper and all that stuff, which did not. Sanded much like body filler. Got really close now with the 180, and now I'm going to go after it with the 400, smooth it out for primer, and yeah, we'll see if we can get some primer on this thing. Actually, there's a couple of spots I can get to with the 400 first that I'll be happier if that was done. A tight squeeze here. It'd be a lot easier if the lift gate was off, but you know, again, we're doing this on the cheap, and end of the day, I really need to drive this car tomorrow. And some people in the comments would be like, hey, why aren't you using a block? Well, yeah, all the blocks I have are a little thicker, and I don't want to damaged adjacent panels. So I do have this folded over pretty well, but it's pretty stiff, so I'm getting a pretty nice straight line, as you all can see. When I was sanding earlier, that I kept running my finger over it, feeling for edges, and I just want to get this thing as feathered out as good as possible, so I don't really feel much. But we do need to switch over to the 400, so let's do that. Here we go. Well, that might be about where we need to be. That's pretty good. Okay, so next step is we're gonna do a little cleanup underneath there. Just get all this yuck and do a little prep in the areas that we're gonna prime with a little bit of probably some 1000 grit sandpaper, and we're going to tape everything off, paper everything off, so we can do a little bit of priming. And yeah, hopefully we will be done for the evening here shortly. We will have to button all this up after the primer dries, because again, I got to drive this tomorrow for a little bit. Tomorrow evening, after I get off my day job, we will proceed to lay down the vinyl, and that is going to be so much fun. I promise, so much fun. But that looks great. Okay, so sanding is done, and I actually got some solvent cleaner and cleaned up my little bit of a mess from the sanding dust. So we have, hard to see in the camera, but a little bit of haze right there in the clear on the top coat where I did a little bit of sanding on 800. So we'll have something for our primer to stick to, and we were going to take it to about right here with our tape line and bag this off so we can throw some primer on it. And I'll be right back with you to show you how that goes. Okay, so running out of daylight, we're really close, getting ready to put some primer on here. Let me show you what I did. Got this thing bagged off, and I didn't have any masking paper, so I just used what I had, some paper grocery bags, and masked off the small area for primer. So we're going to get in here, we're going to throw a little primer on this. It's just rattle can primer, nothing crazy. Probably not going to film that because I need to be real careful not to get overspray all over the car. And yeah, so once I hit this thing with a couple coats of primer, I'll be back with you to show you the results. Okay, so I'm back. Now I've got this thing primed in, and looks pretty good. So, primer is not just for corrosion protection, it's also, you can sand it as a filler as well. So I did get about probably 4 coats on here. Got a couple of imperfections I want to get sanded out, and yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and button this thing back up, put the roof rail back on, and we're gonna come back out here tomorrow and see if we cannot get that vinyl tape on. It's gonna be a little bit of a challenge. I'm up for it. Hopefully you are too. But I'm pretty happy with what I have so far. We'll see if it holds up.